Shots fired at Landlady, Broadbridge Heath, 1892. Mary Matthews, a widow, was the landlady of the Shelley Arms at Broadbridge Heath near Horsham. On Thursday, the 17th of November, 1892, around lunchtime, James Kitchener, aged about 30, called into the public house and asked if there were any lodgings available. Mrs. Matthews told him no, there wasn't. He left about 1:30 p.m. On Thursday evening, Mrs. Matthews locked up as usual about 10 minutes past 10. She went to bed about 10:30. The following morning, at about 4:30 or 5 o'clock, she heard a slight noise, and then again about 20 minutes to 6. It seemed to come from the passage just outside her bedroom door. Her niece, Lily Sarah Matthews, called out and asked, "Aunt, have you tried my door?" She replied, "No." Her niece replied, "Someone has then." Mrs. Matthews took a lit lamp into the front room and saw James Kitchener standing between the wardrobe and the window. Mrs. Matthews said, "You here, you beast, out you come." Kitchener followed her out of the room onto the landing and then caught her arm. He then shot her in the left arm with a revolver. In the struggle, the lamp went out. Mrs. Matthews' niece came out of her room and Kitchener fired at her twice, and she rushed back into her room. Mrs. Matthews then went to get a light, and when she returned, Kitchener had gone, making his escape out of a window. George White, a farm labourer living at Broadbridge Heath and employed by Mrs. Matthews, said that on Thursday afternoon he left a ladder on a hayrick on Mrs. Matthews' farm, adjoining the public house. On Friday morning, at about 6 o'clock, he noticed that the ladder was in front of a window in the house facing the highway road. Mr. Mark Henry Herbert Vernon, a surgeon in practice at Horsham, said that on the morning of the 18th of November he was sent to see Mrs. Matthews. He saw her about 8:30, and on examining her, he found a large bruise on her left arm. The skin was broken. He found no other injury. He also examined her niece and found 4 bruises on her right arm and on her side. None of the wounds were serious. He found some bullets in the passageway upstairs. Following inquiries by the local police, PC Rochester, stationed at Warnham, was on his way to Billingshurst on the morning of the 18th when he saw Kitchener near the Five Oaks public house. Rochester approached Kitchener and asked where he was from, and he replied that he came from Dorking. Rochester clearly considered Kitchener to be a suspect, as with the help of a lad he handcuffed Kitchener and took him to the nearby Five Oaks public house, where he searched the suspect. Kitchener had on his possession a fully loaded 6-chambered revolver, a box containing 36 ball cartridges, 2 pairs of scissors, 1 pocket knife, 1 pipe, a pair of brown gloves, 4 spoons, a quantity of tobacco, 15 shillings and 8 pence, 1 purse, a portion of candle wax, and a few wax matches. Rochester then took Kitchener to the Shelley Arms, where Mrs. Matthews identified him as the man who had broken into her house and shot her. Sussex Assizes at Lewes. Trial of James Kitchener. Having first been heard at the Horsham Petty Sessions, the subsequent trial was at the Sussex Assizes in Lewes, with Mr. Justice Hawkins presiding. James Kitchener, a seafaring man, was charged with burglary and with the attempted murder of 2 people. He was further charged with breaking into the George Hotel at Crawley and the Plough Inn at Three Bridges. Gerard Lloyd, a gunmaker of Lewes, said that he believed the revolver to be of foreign manufacture, and the cartridges were also foreign. He gave his experience by firing the bullets into a piece of board. Superintendent Denman stated that the prisoner at Five Oaks said that he did not care what became of him. Kitchener stated that he hadn't intended to shoot Mrs. Matthews, only to scare her. He also stated that if he had wanted to shoot and kill the policeman and the lad who arrested him, then he could have done so, but he did not want to. He admitted that he had been drinking. In summing up, his lordship referred to the courageous conduct of P.C. Rochester, who acted with great presence of mind when he came up to the prisoner, and said that he had acted in a very creditable manner. Mr. Marshall Hall said that the chief constable was going to make a recommendation. Superintendent Denman, who had sent the constable for the man, was also complimented by the judge. James Kitchener was found guilty, and his lordship, in passing sentence, said that there was strong evidence that the prisoner had committed other burglaries that same night. He sentenced Kitchener to 10 years in prison.